Hello, dear friends. I'm Alder Santos, and welcome to our channel, Baseball Legends. When we talk about the great names at the catcher position in Major League Baseball history, it's impossible to ignore the impact Javy López had during the 1990s and early 2000s. Much more than just a simple backstop behind home plate, López became a true offensive phenomenon in a position traditionally known more for defense than for hitting. His combination of power, consistency, and presence in clutch moments made him a key piece in the success of the Atlanta Braves during one of the franchise's most dominant eras. But what made Javy López such a special player? How did he manage to stand out among so many legendary names of that decade? His career is marked by moments of perseverance, historic seasons, and a unique ability to deliver results both with the bat and with his defensive leadership. From all-star game appearances to home run records for a catcher, López's career is full of episodes that still spark debate and admiration among baseball fans and experts today. Watch this video until the end and tell us in the comments, what was the most memorable moment of Javy López's career in your opinion? Do you think he was underrated when it comes to the list of the greatest defensive catchers in history? Share your memories, opinions, and let's celebrate the career of this great baseball figure together. In this video, we'll revisit the life and career of this Braves and MLB icon. We'll explore how he redefined the role of the offensive catcher, his participation in historic lineups, his individual awards, and even the final chapters of his career with the Baltimore Orioles and the Boston Red Sox. Get ready to dive into a story of talent, dedication, and legacy that deserves to be told in every detail. Javy López was born on November 5, 1970, in the city of Ponce, one of the most traditional baseball talent-producing regions in Puerto Rico. From a very young age, it was clear that he had a natural talent for the sport. Growing up in an environment where baseball is almost a religion, Javy was influenced by Puerto Rican heroes of the past, such as Roberto Clemente and Orlando Cepeda. Even as a child, he spent countless hours playing with friends on improvised fields, developing an uncommon physical strength for his age and an evident passion for the game. His parents and coaches quickly realized he had special potential, which led him to participate in amateur championships and youth leagues across the island. During his teenage years, López began to stand out in regional competitions, both for his offensive presence and his defensive skills behind the plate. As a catcher, he showed a rare combination of arm strength and game-reading ability, qualities that set him apart from other young players his age. Gradually, his name started to circulate among American scouts visiting Puerto Rico in search of new talent. Javy also began participating in international tournaments representing his island, which gave him experience against tougher competition and visibility with Major League Baseball, MLB, organizations. López's rise through amateur baseball was meteoric. By age 16, he was already considered one of Puerto Rico's top prospects of his generation. His impressive performance caught the attention of several MLB teams, but it was the Atlanta Braves who ended up signing him in 1987, when Javy was just 17 years old. That contract represented not only the beginning of his professional career, but also the fulfillment of a childhood dream. Leaving his homeland to pursue a career in the United States was a challenge, but Javy carried with him the discipline, willpower, and pride of representing Puerto Rico on the international baseball stage. Javy López's signing with the Atlanta Braves in 1987 marked an important milestone in his life and career. At the time, only 17 years old, López was a promising young catcher from Puerto Rico, carrying the dream of making it to professional baseball in the United States. The Braves scouting team, always attentive to Latin American talent, saw great potential in Javy, especially due to his rare combination of physical strength, quick reflexes, and a powerful arm, qualities highly valued in a catcher. By signing with the franchise, Lopez embarked on a new phase of his life, leaving behind his homeland and family to adapt to the challenging reality of the minor leagues in the United States. His journey through the Atlanta Braves farm system was marked by an intense and gradual learning process. Javy began his path at the lower levels, playing for affiliate teams like the Gulf Coast Braves and the Sumter Braves. In these early years, he faced various adaptation difficulties, from cultural and language barriers to the more competitive and technical style of play in the American leagues. Additionally, the catcher position demands a much higher tactical understanding of the game than most other positions, which meant that Javy not only needed to improve his physical skills, but also develop his ability to lead pitchers and read opponents' strategies. As the seasons went by, Lopez began to stand out both defensively and offensively. Although he was initially more recognized for his work behind the plate, his improvement with the bat became evident. The young Puerto Rican started showing above-average slugging power for a catcher, racking up home runs and extra base hits in the minors. His quick swing and natural strength caught the attention of the Atlanta Braves coaches and executives, who saw him as a future key player for the major league team. Javy also refined his blocking technique, throwing mechanics, and pitcher communication skills, becoming a more complete catcher with each passing season, starting in 1990. Playing for higher-level affiliates like the Durham Bulls and the Greenville Braves, Javy López solidified his position as one of the organization's top prospects. His offensive performance gained consistency, with solid batting averages and a growing number of home runs. In the Braves' internal evaluations, he was already seen as the team's likely catcher of the future, especially due to his offensive profile, something that could bring a valuable differential to the position. Over those years in the minors, Javy also had the opportunity to work with specialized coaches who helped him refine his swing mechanics and defensive posture. Another crucial factor in Lopez's development was the highly competitive environment within the Braves' own farm system. During the 1990s, Atlanta was known for its strong crop of young talent, especially among pitchers. This meant that Javy had the privilege and responsibility of working with future stars like Tom Glavine, John Smoltz, and Steve Avery while still in the minor leagues. These experiences helped Javy better understand the art of calling a game, creating pitching strategies, and maintaining the pitcher's confidence during high-pressure situations. Being around such talented players soon became an advantage when they all eventually reached the major leagues together in 1992. After years of dedication and growth, Javy López finally received his long-awaited call-up to the Atlanta Braves major league roster. His major league debut was the direct result of years of hard work in the minors, where he not only honed his technical skills, but also developed the mindset needed to compete at the highest level of baseball. That long journey through the minors shaped Javy's character, turning him into a resilient, disciplined, and success-hungry player. His rise symbolized not only the triumph of a determined young Puerto Rican, but also the effectiveness of a player development system that had molded one of the great offensive catchers of the 1990s. Javy López made his Major League Baseball debut on September 18, 1992, with the Atlanta Braves, a team that was already building the foundation of its 1990s dynasty. At that time, the Braves were in the middle of an intense playoff race, and López's presence on the big league roster was initially seen as an opportunity for him to gain experience alongside established veterans. During his first appearances, Javy showed flashes of both his defensive and offensive potential, but he still needed time to mature and find his rhythm to establish himself as an impact player in the league. Internal competition for the catcher position, combined with the need for further technical development, meant that López spent most of the 1992 and 1993 seasons moving between the major leagues and the minors, working on improving his receiving, blocking, and game-calling skills. It was in the 1994 season that Javy López finally solidified himself as the Braves' starting catcher, fully taking on the responsibility of leading what was then the most feared pitching staff in MLB, which included names like Greg Maddux, Tom Glavine, and John Smoltz. The coaching staff's confidence in him was a direct result of his clear defensive improvement and, most importantly, his impact with the bat. Throughout that season, even amid the strike that shortened the schedule, López proved he was more than just a solid backstop. He was an offensive catcher with the power to change the course of a game with a single swing. His performance at the plate, combined with his growing maturity in handling games, secured his spot as the starting catcher and made him an indispensable piece of Atlanta's tactical approach that in the following years, Javy López continued to refine his communication with pitchers, an essential skill for a team that built much of its success on mound dominance. His ability to read opposing hitters, craft pitch sequences, and help pitchers maintain their composure during critical moments became increasingly evident. Additionally, his offensive presence started gaining attention throughout the league. Javy racked up home runs, drove in runs during clutch situations, and became a constant threat in the heart of the Braves lineup. This combination of defensive leadership and offensive firepower made him one of the most respected catchers in the National League and a cornerstone of Atlanta's historic run of consecutive NL East Division titles throughout the decade. From 1995 to 1999, López not only maintained his consistency, but also stood out in crucial postseason moments. His contributions were fundamental in helping the Braves reach the World Series in 1995, when the team captured the championship title, ending a long drought for the franchise. The partnership between Javy and Atlanta's elite pitchers became one of the most successful pitcher-catcher dynamics of the modern baseball era. Throughout these seasons, he also earned individual recognition, being selected for the All-Star game and gaining respect for his ability to balance the physical and mental demands of such a grueling position. The consolidation of Javy López as the Braves' starting catcher represented not only a personal victory, but also became one of the foundations for the team's longevity and success in the 1990s. Javy López quickly built a reputation as one of the most feared offensive catchers of the 1990s, breaking the traditional mold of what was expected from a backstop in MLB. Historically, the catcher position had been valued more for defensive skills and the ability to command a game, often leaving offensive production as a secondary concern. However, López defied that logic with his offensive firepower at the plate. From his early seasons as the Braves' starting catcher, he showed he could generate a serious impact on offense, with a rare combination of power, contact, and situational hitting ability for the position. His knack for driving in runs during decisive moments and his tendency to produce home runs with regularity made him a constant presence in the middle of Atlanta's batting order, reflecting the confidence manager Bobby Cox had in his offensive production. Throughout the 1990s, López was among the league leaders in home runs, slugging percentage, and OPS, on-base plus slugging, among catchers, statistics that highlighted his ability to do damage against opposing pitchers. In multiple seasons, he surpassed the 20 home run mark, something that, at the time, was considered a remarkable feat for any catcher. His swing mechanics, blending explosiveness with control, allowed him to consistently drive pitches in the power zones, making him a threat against both right-handed and left-handed pitchers. Additionally, López developed a special talent for hitting in pressure situations, racking up crucial RBIs in key games, which bolstered his reputation as a clutch hitter. His offensive presence was a strategic advantage that allowed the Braves to compensate for occasional weaknesses in other parts of the lineup. Another aspect that solidified López's reputation as one of the best hitting catchers of the decade was his consistency over the years. While other catchers might have had peaks in production but struggled to sustain it across multiple seasons, Javy demonstrated a level of regularity that kept him among the position's leaders for nearly a decade. Even while dealing with the natural physical wear and tear of catching, he maintained solid batting averages and a strong rate of extra base hits. His ability to adjust to different types of pitchers and adapt his hitting style throughout his career showcased both his play intelligence and dedication to offensive preparation. López also evolved as a situational hitter, learning when to go for power and when to settle for a productive out, depending on the team's needs. Javy López's influence on the offensive profile of MLB catchers during the 1990s was so significant that he became a reference point for the new generation of players at the position. His success inspired executives and coaches to place greater value on the offensive potential of their catchers, breaking away from the stigma that catchers should focus solely on defense. His presence in the Braves lineup provided a critical balance between offense and defense, making him an indispensable piece during the franchise's peak years. López not only raised the offensive standards for catchers of his era, but also paved the way for future offensive catchers like Mike Piazza and Jorge Posada to be more widely recognized and valued in the modern game. The 2003 season was undoubtedly the peak of Javy López's offensive career and one of the most impressive years ever recorded by a catcher in MLB history. That year, López experienced an almost perfect combination of health, strength, and confidence at the plate, resulting in extraordinary offensive numbers. His performance was so dominant that he finished the season with an impressive 43 home runs, breaking the National League record for home runs by a catcher. This achievement not only etched his name into baseball's history books, but also reinforced the idea that a catcher could be as impactful an offensive force as any first baseman or outfielder. López also tallied 109 RBIs and posted a .328 batting average, proving that his production extended beyond just power, delivering consistency across all offensive areas. Beyond the raw numbers, the 2003 season was special for López because it represented a personal comeback after previous years marred by injuries and inconsistent performance. He entered that year with the mission to prove he could still play at an elite level and exceeded all expectations. His home run streak included multiple multi-homer games, creating a sense of anticipation every time he stepped up to the plate. López was also a key contributor to the Braves campaign, helping the team capture yet another National League East Division title. His ability to change the course of a game with a single swing became one of Atlanta's biggest offensive weapons that season. This performance did not go unnoticed around the league, and he was rightfully rewarded with the Silver Slugger Award, an honor given to the best offensive catcher in the league. The impact of the 2003 season on Javy López's career was profound and lasting. Although he was already recognized as one of the best offensive catchers of the decade, that year elevated him to a historic level, placing him alongside the all-time greats at the position. The National League home run record for a catcher remains a benchmark to this day, serving as a target for any catcher aspiring to combine defensive excellence with elite offensive power. Moreover, López's 2003 performance helped solidify his legacy with Braves fans and the baseball community at large, often remembered as one of the most spectacular seasons ever recorded by a catcher. Even after the end of his playing career, that year continues to symbolize his resilience, talent, and lasting impact on the game. Throughout his Major League Baseball career, Javy López had the honor of being selected to the All-Star Game on 3 separate occasions: 1997, 1998, and 2003. These selections were a direct reflection of his offensive consistency and the respect he earned both among fans and within the professional baseball community. In a position traditionally dominated by players with a more defensive profile, López stood out for his offensive skills, earning him a place among the best at his position during those years. His appearances in the All-Star games of the 1990s were especially significant, as he shared the stage with other great names from that era of baseball, proving that even when competing with talents like Mike Piazza and Ivan Rodriguez, he had carved out space to be recognized as one of the premier offensive forces among catchers. Each of López's All-Star Game appearances represented more than just individual numbers. They were acknowledgments of his impact on a team that, for many years, was one of the National League's powerhouses. His first selection in 1997 marked the beginning of a cycle of respect and appreciation for his talent, which was solidified the following season in 1998 when he was selected again. On these occasions, López showed that his offensive ability wasn't just a fleeting phenomenon, but rather the result of hard work, constant adaptation, and sharp in-game awareness. Additionally, his professional demeanor and the respect he earned in the clubhouse also contributed to him being viewed as one of the leaders of the Braves team, something that weighed positively in the eyes of the coaches and journalists responsible. For All-Star selections, his third and final All-Star Game appearance, in 2003, was even more special. That year, López experienced the best offensive season of his career, breaking the National League home run record for catchers with 43 home runs. This exceptional performance not only earned him a return to the Midsummer Classic, but also ensured he was viewed as one of the league's biggest standouts that season. His presence in the 2003 All-Star Game was an undeniable recognition of the offensive excellence he had achieved, capping a period of personal comeback and return to the top after years of ups and downs. Along with the All-Star selection, that year also brought him the Silver Slugger Award, further reinforcing his place among the best offensive catchers of his generation. These individual achievements remain a fundamental part of the legacy Javy López left in professional baseball. During the 1990s, Javy López played a crucial role in the Atlanta Braves playoff campaigns, being a key figure in one of the most consistent and dominant rosters in the National League. As the starting catcher, López not only commanded the pitching staff with skill and intelligence, but also provided a decisive offensive presence in high-pressure moments. His ability to deliver key hits, especially with runners in scoring position, made him one of the most valuable players in postseason games. Throughout those years, the Braves made frequent October appearances, and López was always at the center of the action, displaying composure and consistent performance in the most important games. His combination of power at the plate and leadership behind it made him an indispensable figure during the most successful years in the franchise's history. The highlight of his contribution came during the historic 1995 World Series championship, when the Atlanta Braves broke a decades-long title drought. During that campaign, López played crucial roles, both in the earlier series and in the finals against the Cleveland Indians. His offensive performance was fundamental in supporting one of the best pitching staffs in recent history, led by names like Greg Maddux, Tom Glavine, and John Smoltz. Javy López provided energy and production at the plate, along with his solid defensive leadership, helping the Braves secure decisive victories. The 1995 title not only marked the pinnacle of López's career during that period, but also solidified his legacy as one of the most important players of that Braves generation, recognized for his direct contribution in breaking one of the franchise's longest title droughts. Beyond his offensive impact, Javy López was widely recognized for his ability as a catcher in managing one of the most legendary pitching staffs in Major League Baseball history. During his time with the Atlanta Braves, López had the responsibility of working with icons such as Greg Maddux, Tom Glavine, and John Smoltz, three future Hall of Famers. Being the primary catcher for such a talented group required not only refined technical understanding of the game, but also exceptional communication skills, situational awareness, and tactical adaptability. Javy demonstrated remarkable baseball intelligence, knowing how to adjust the pitching plan for each opponent, carefully studying hitters, and actively contributing to the game strategy. His connection with the pitchers was essential in maintaining the team's standard of excellence throughout nearly a decade of National League dominance. That Lopez's role went far beyond simply receiving pitches. He was an extension of the manager on the field, taking responsibility for controlling the game's pace, positioning teammates defensively, and making quick decisions under pressure. Working with pitchers as stylistically different as Maddox, with his surgical control, Glavine, with his craftiness and use of the outside zones, and Smoltz, with his power and aggressiveness, required a versatility that few catchers possessed. Javy's ability to adjust to each pitcher's style made the Braves a feared team for their dominant performances on the mound. Even though he was best known for his power at the plate, Lopez built a solid reputation as a strategist behind the plate, playing a quiet but vital role in Atlanta's winning campaigns during the 1990s and early 2000s. Javy López left a lasting legacy as one of the most offensively productive catchers of his generation, establishing himself as a true force at the plate, especially in a position traditionally valued more for defense than offensive power. Throughout his career, Lopez tallied an impressive 260 home runs and 864 runs batted in, RBIs, numbers that highlight his crucial role as a hitter capable of changing games and driving his team to victory. His .287 batting average confirms his consistency and ability to produce offensively, even under the pressures and challenges that come with the catcher's position, making him a constant threat to opposing pitchers. This combination of power and precision at the plate made Lopez a benchmark among MLB offensive catchers of the 1990s and early 2000s. Beyond the numbers, Lopez's legacy is also deeply tied to the impact he had on the Atlanta Braves fan base, where he spent most of his career and enjoyed his best moments. His presence in the lineup was always a source of confidence for fans, who recognized his talent and dedication to the team. Lopez managed to stand out during an era when the Braves were one of baseball's greatest powerhouses, decisively contributing to the franchise's success with his timely home runs and ability to drive in runs in the most crucial moments. This connection with the fans and the club ensured him a special place in the franchise's history, being fondly and respectfully remembered even after his retirement. Javy López's offensive ability was especially remarkable for challenging the defense-only catcher stereotype. Historically, the catcher position demands intense physical wear and tear, often limiting offensive performance. However, Lopez managed to overcome these barriers and stand out as one of the few catchers of his time able to combine physical endurance with significant offensive power. His talent helped redefine what was expected from a catcher in MLB, paving the way for other players at the position to seek greater offensive impact without neglecting defensive responsibility. For that reason, he is often cited as an inspiration for catchers who came after him and aspire to a complete and balanced performance. Javy López represents an era in baseball when the catcher position began to gain a new offensive dimension. For decades, the catcher's role was seen mostly as defensive, focused on handling pitchers and providing protection behind the plate. However, López challenged that logic with his impressive production at the plate. His ability to drive in runs and hit home runs placed him in a rare category for catchers of his time. He proved it was possible to be a consistent offensive force without sacrificing defensive responsibilities, helping to change the perception of what is expected from a catcher in MLB. Throughout his career, Javy had the honor of working alongside some of the greatest pitchers in baseball history. His partnership with names like Greg Maddux, Tom Glavine, and John Smoltz was no accident. His baseball intelligence, ability to read opposing hitters, and masterfully manage games made him a key component in the machine that drove the Braves to years of dominance in the National League East Division. This combination of quiet leadership and consistent performance earned López respect not only from teammates, but also from coaches and opponents. He knew how to adjust his approach based on each pitcher's style, always putting the team first. Beyond his technical qualities, Javy López's story is also an example of perseverance and growth. Even after facing criticism in the early years of his career regarding his defense, he worked hard to improve, evolving as a catcher and becoming a reliable presence behind the plate. His dedication to the sport was evident in how, even after changing teams and going through transitional phases, he maintained his professionalism and desire to contribute. This strong work ethic was one of the pillars that sustained his longevity in the league. His time with the Baltimore Orioles marked a new chapter where, even away from Atlanta, Javy showed he still had plenty to offer offensively. He continued to be a threat at the plate, leading the Orioles in home runs among catchers during his first seasons with the team. Even while dealing with injuries and the natural wear of age, López kept fighting for playing time and production. His brief stint with the Boston Red Sox may not have been as memorable, but it represented his final attempt to continue competing at the highest level before ending his professional career. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell so you'll be notified whenever we upload new content. Oh, and don't forget to leave your comment and share it with your friends. Finally, Javy López's legacy transcends his numbers and individual achievements. He symbolizes the importance of balance between defense and offense, perseverance, and versatility at the catcher position. Even after the end of his career, his name remains associated with a generation of offensively productive catchers who helped raise the standard for the position in baseball. López is also recognized for his professionalism, leadership, and ability to perform in clutch moments, qualities that inspired teammates and fans alike. In short, Javy López is not just one of the greatest hitters among catchers of his era, but also an example of how talent and dedication can transform such a demanding position in the sport. Until our next journey, dear baseball-loving friends.